So on the podcast today, I'm joined by Tim Whitehead, co-founder of Frankie's, an ex-professional rugby player. So thanks for joining me today, Tim.
Pleasure. No problem, Darren. Thanks for having me.
So maybe let's start off with Frankie's. Previously we've just been speaking on that, but maybe we can repeat some of the stuff we have been talking about. Clothing is probably one of the, if not the toughest market to be in. So what are some of the challenges you faced since the beginning of Frankie's until now kind of thing?
Great question because man, I honestly for me there are two things that are glaringly massive in this and obvious in this whole in the clothing industry, and that is one of them is the size curve, which is obviously if you're bringing out a pair of swimming trunks or t-shirts, you need to have different sizes. You can't only have one size unless you've got one size that fits all. That's the name of the game. I mean, it limits your wastage. So if you're launching with a small, medium, large, and extra large, that's all good. But you've got to make sure that those fits are perfect. Your size guide must be perfect online, because managing returns underwear, luckily we don't really have too many returns, because you can't return underwear, whether it's bricks and mortar retail or online retail. You can't. It's just sort of unsavory. So getting the size curve right is pivotal. If you get the fit wrong, your customer will never buy from you again. And that's why the teething issues in the ladies line was quite tough for us, because we had a lot of feedback, and we welcomed feedback. We welcomed negative feedback because all we wanted to do was try and improve. We would never take it personally. We would always try and make sure that we could get the customer, keep the customer happy, and give them a free pair if we needed to, just to try and fix the problem. Because to win a new customer over is 9 times more expensive than keeping an old customer in terms of your cost per acquisition. So we always had that in mind. So making sure that size curve is right and accurate is super difficult. And getting the right numbers in terms of the quantities that you're ordering in for smalls, medium, larges, and extra larges, because the prime, we found in men's underwear, mediums and larges work out at 80% of our sales. So if we're making 1,000 units of a pair of trunks, we would make 800 of them in medium and large, and only maybe 150 extra large, and maybe 50 smalls. So to limit your wastage, because also what you find especially in the retail game in clothing, is that you'll have all of your mediums, larges, and extra larges sold out, but then you'll have 100 smalls still in stock if you get your size curve wrong. So people will see that you have a cool pair of undies available, but they see there's only smalls available. Now you've manufactured already, you've planned all of your components for that style, all your fabric's been used up, your waistbands have been used up, but now you're still sitting with 100 smalls. You can't just order in another 50 or 100 mediums, larges, and extra larges, because bearing in mind, we're manufacturing these from scratch. We're not ordering in Adidas from Europe and, hey guys, we're short of medium, larges, and extra larges, can you just swing us another 500 of these things? You have to manufacture these things. So all of that plays a big role. So that whole size curve is vital, as well as the fit of each garment. So I would say the two craziest realizations for us was how important it was to make sure that your quantities per size were right in terms of your size curve, and then your first and the fit quality of each garment. If you get it wrong, you lose your customer. They'll just chuck those undies and you won't get anybody back. So rather take time in doing your R&D, do multiple wearer trials, get all your buddies wearing stuff, giving you feedback, make the sleeves longer or shorter, or the leg longer or shorter, or no, it's too tight on the small, or whatever, anything. Just take it. Don't take it personally. Just take it and use it and build a better product. Because once you get that product right and you can keep that customer consistently, you'll save yourself a lot of money in the long run.
With regards to Frankie's growth over the last year or two, and that it's in more and more retail markets or retail shops now. Was it always? Did you think it was always going to grow as quickly as it has now, or what was the goal when you first set out? When you started the business.
The goal was actually initially, it's crazy how the psychology around the business worked. I just wanted to launch something. I had all these ideas in the past to create something out of all the business ideas that I had were app driven, product driven, whatever, anything. And I'd failed in actually bringing them to market. That my initial goal was just do something that you can say, hey, I started a business. Even if it failed in like a week, doesn't matter. As long as you can say that you've taken that first step and you've learned from it. So I just wanted to create something that people could see and say, oh, cool, Tim started a business. Well done, a high five, And if it failed, I would have learned from it. But it sort of evolves. As soon as you launch it, then your focus shifts to, cool, I need to get my first sale. Then you get your first sale and it'll be like from a buddy or your brother or your mom buys just because they're supporting you, which is also super, super important in this game. As much support as you can get. And then once you get your first sale from your friend, you're like, okay, cool, I want to get a sale from somebody I don't know, who doesn't know me, who's doing it because they like the product. Then I know I'm on the right track. Then you get that first random sale, I'll call it. And then you're like, cool, I want to get my first retailer. Then you get retailers knocking on the door. So I don't know, it's almost like for me, it was because I'm so my focus shifts so quickly and I'm a little bit ADD in my ways. I always wanted more. And I think it's human nature as well to always want more. And from one success to the next, it just evolved from one to the next. And I felt the more I achieved something, that I just wanted more and more and more. And I think that's what also happens. We now in some retailers, we're pushing into, we're selling every day. We've got new product lines coming out all the time. And I still feel like I'm not satisfied. I want to be. Now our goal is to launch in the UK and in the US, but that's obviously a much bigger. How can I say? Something to achieve that is a lot bigger and more difficult than to just launch something in your home country, because you have support and obviously evolving Frankie's as a brand. People are sort of seeing it a bit more now. We're getting initial traction and a bit of momentum. And in saying that, we're still super young. I think we aren't even 3 years old since we launched. And the more time goes by, obviously, the more people see it and you've got more chance of making success. But launching in a new region now, which is the current goal, is super difficult because people will see Frankie's and they'll go, well, never heard of this, I'm not interested, as opposed to an Under Armour or a Nike or an Adidas. That's this brand that has so much longevity and it's like everlasting. It's just people, everybody knows about it. So yeah, it's just I feel like the focus shifts from one to the next, and you just want more and more and more. And I think that's also healthy because it's part of the entrepreneurship game. You're always trying to evolve and innovate and become better, because you're not trying to make something. I think in any business, unless you're creating an app and selling it for like 100 million, in the retail business, in a brand business, it's just a constant snowball. You're trying to build that snowball and get momentum, and then eventually, if you want to monetize it, you could potentially set off the brand as like sort of an IP. But yeah, it just evolves from 1 month to the next and one goal to the next, I guess.
Yeah, we've touched a bit on this in our previous conversations, but how do you find the balance in your life when it comes to, obviously now, yeah, when you were more involved with Frankie's and that, it took up a lot of your time, but yeah, how do you balance that emotional, physical, mental kind of stuff?
I think the toughest mental part of it, of starting the business after rugby, was I was quite lonely. Entrepreneurship is quite a lonely game if you're doing. I mean, yes, Sia was part of it, but Sia, his role in the business was more ambassador, the face of the business, sort of to help with initial traction, get the name out there through his profile. So in terms of being hands-on and in front of the laptop, he was obviously playing rugby, and that was his primary focus. And obviously, he agreed 100%. I've always told him, I said, never let Frankie's take away from your rugby focus. Help where you can, kind of thing. And I felt, coming from a team background in the rugby career, all of a sudden being alone in front of your laptop and trying to drive something without somebody next to you to share it with all the time was super, super difficult. But I don't think time's a problem. I think people just get a little bit, they get it. I mean, there's only one way to put it. There's no substitute for hard work. If you really, really want something and you aren't putting in 10-hour days, it's not going to work. So it's just having the discipline to sit down for 10-hour days, research, just build, cold call, phone, ask for help. Don't be scared to get rejected. That was, for me, one of the toughest things to get through, because, like I said earlier, rugby, everything comes a little bit easier. You've got your salary at the end of every month. you got people supporting you, you got like a whole support system, and then all of a sudden you got no salary. I mean, I think for over a year and a half, I didn't take a salary out of Frankie's, so it was super difficult to keep that positive mindset going, trying to build, because all your money is just going straight back into marketing and stock. So yeah, the mental side is extremely tough, and like I said, there's just highs and there are lows. There's nothing in between. It's you have to have a very, very strong mind to sort that out.
And you have said that you enjoy some surfing. Is that a nice escape for you when it comes to stress and that?
Well, for the last 2 weeks, I've enjoyed surfing. I've never surfed before this, but yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons my girlfriend and I came to Costa Rica for a couple of months to learn how to surf, and so far so good. But like I said, today wasn't so good. I got a smack to the head with a board, and yeah, I wasn't feeling it. So I just decided to come into this co-working space early and carry on with my other stuff. But yeah, but so surfing is the thing about surfing is it just teaches you a lot of patience. You're so connected with the world, and you realize that through all the, well, inverted commas, problems that you think you have during a day, if you're just sitting on the water first thing in the morning, the sun's rising over the jungle, and you just look around and it's pure peace, and you realize life actually isn't that bad, and it teaches you to enjoy the small things and be connected to the world, and that's one thing I do believe in.
Yeah, there's something special about being out in the ocean, uh, quite deep out. Yeah, when I go out in the ocean, that it's quite if you look down and it's just black because it's too deep to see. It's kind of, yeah, it's a scary moment, but it's also like this refreshing, rejuvenating source inside of you.
Yeah,
So
it's a perspective giver as well. I feel like when you're out there and you realize how minute we are, compared to the depths of the ocean and what's out there, it gives you perspective about how our little problems, we have a little financial problem, or anything, your friend doesn't reply to your message, like it really, that's not a big thing. I mean, yesterday we were in the water, and it was just me and my buddy, this Irish dude, super cool dude I met here. We went surfing, and we were sitting at the back line, and we saw this like fish feeding frenzy. I don't know what was going on, but there were just tons of these fish just about 15 meters away from where I was sitting, and a bunch of pelicans saw this and just swooped in and started feeding on these fish. And I just had this like amazing moment where I was just parking off, checking out these pelicans feeding on fish 10 meters away from me. I was like blown away. I was like, this is such a perspective giver. Like, I don't need to be catching waves or making money or, doing the temporary highs of life that's sort of formed by society. I could just be sitting here watching these birds feed, and I'm like the happiest guy in the world. So I love that sort of stuff as well. And I just get so much energy from the way the world works.
I fully agree with that. I feel the same about it. And maybe in closing for now, you've mentioned a few things to me, but what kind of plans do you have going forward? Are there any other ideas that you're looking at or ventures that you're looking into at the moment?
Yeah, I last year I went to Japan to watch Sia and the guys in the World Cup, and I was extremely stressed at the time. I got shingles on my hand, and I went to the doctor, and he said, "Man, you're so stressed. You need to take a bit of time off." Lucky enough, I went to Japan with some buddies, and I had this feeling when I was there about why I was so stressed, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly present. And I decided that was when I was going to sort of hand the Frankie's operational role over to the new funding partners, because I felt like that wasn't right up my alley. I established very obviously that during the time that I was running operations at Frankie's, that people facing work, business development, and so the people side of a business was much more up my alley and much more enjoyable and stimulating for me than anything. So I decided to come back and try and focus on that. And right now, to be honest, I don't have the energy to start something new. I actually launched another business a couple of months ago that was in the pipeline for a year. So that's pretty much it now. And for the next few years, I just don't, it's so tiring and so stressful that I just don't have it in me to start something maybe in the next 2-3 years. But I have decided to focus on the business development side of things and enter in an existing business and see if I can help develop the business further after learning what I've learned through the startup and Frankie's journey, because I feel like that's some real value that I can add through past experience. And so I've taken on that sort of role now with another friend of mine's company, and I'm working alongside him in building that. So right now it's just existing business and adding as much value as I can. And then when the bug bites again, I guess maybe then I'll take the plunge. But for now, I just don't have it in me, to be honest. That's just blatantly obvious. It's I mean, if you speak to guys, it's super tiring, and it just takes a certain individual to be able to do it, and to do it often is tough. I just feel like 3 years of it with Frankie's was good for now, and now I'll focus on some people facing stuff and see how I go there.
That I'm sure the bug will bite in the future. But yeah, thank you for your time today, Tim. Muchly appreciate it, and it's been quite an interesting story to listen to.
Thanks, Darren. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for having me. And yeah, hopefully this is the first of a few of these little conversations on podcast. It'll be lekker.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you enjoy the content, please remember that you can support the podcast via Patreon, and the link is below. And all support is welcome and muchly appreciated.